When I started 13 years ago, everybody wanted to go to investment banking. Look at where the market is going. And so we had the period of operations, we had the period of analytics, we have now IT and consulting is the big thing, which will be more and more covered by AI.
Okay, today we are at SDA Bocconi Asia Center, and with us we have Alessandro. We'll be asking him a lot of questions about MBA. We'll debunk some common myths. We have specifically curated questions. Those are important and relevant for 2025 and beyond regarding MBA and careers. And who better person to ask than Alessandro? So Alessandro, over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Good morning, Seb and everybody. I'm Alessandro Giuliani. I'm the Managing Director of SDA Bocconi Asia Center, which I've started 13 years ago, and since then I've been managing. I'm also the President of the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce, and I am also the co-promoter of India, one of India's top fashion brands.
Since you have been associated with Bocconi for so long, what shifts you have seen over the years in MBA space in general?
If I can be very direct, I've seen a lot of shifts towards what we were saying at the very beginning, because we started 13 years ago talking a lot about soft skills, and everybody now is talking about soft skills, about corporate exposure and about global exposure. So I think in a part is also thanks to us, but I think that's a very positive shift that I've seen happening in the last 13 years in the MBA in India.
So there's a narrative that students also think that, because of heavy focus on ROI, it comes across as MBA institutes are like placement agencies. And because students also take part in MBA colleges to get better placements. What is your take on that?
It is a lot like that in India, and in our presentations I always start saying we're not a placement agency. The fact of being accepted in a business school and top business schools doesn't automatically give you a placement. Okay, placement comes with 2 years of heavy activities, study, and when I say activities and studies, both of them for us. It's passing the exams. We have a lot of very interesting and tough exams, but also doing all the extracurricular activities that help to boost those soft skills and those preparedness for the corporate life, which is very important. But I agree with you that many business schools have a very good past track of placement, and maybe they're not so good in the academics, and the students tend to try to get into those schools because of the placement and not because of what they are taught.
Right. How does it play against their favor?
Well, it does play in their favor for the time being, because good faculties, good international faculties are difficult to get and very expensive. So their ROI is much better. In the long term, we have seen that they tend to go down because there has been a mushrooming of business schools, and some are also very good. And students, after a while, they see that. Not only that, but I always say, when we talk about ROI, about placement, look at your ROI at 1 year. And there we see our students that we did that check 2 years ago. And we saw that at that time we had a placement around 13 lakhs.
Okay.
And after 1 year, they were around 18 lakhs. As an average. So that tells you, if they're well prepared, how much they progress. And students start realizing that.
Okay, there's also this rising concern of inflation and how B-school fees are getting a little expensive over the years. And compared to the placements are not going hand in hand with the rising cost of the fees. How does it play out at SDA Bocconi?
I think we are in counter tendency in that. In fact, we have moved our fees in the last 13 years just a little bit. I think 1 lakh in 13 years. Okay. We were the most expensive back then. Absolutely not the most expensive, but we have increased very little in 13 years, while our average 13 years ago, it was below 10 lakhs. Now it's around 16 lakhs. So I think we did actually the opposite of what you were mentioning, that somehow is the tendency of the market. Yes, all the other business schools have increased their fees. Fees somehow give also the standing of the school, but if they don't go hand in hand with the placement and more than that with the teaching, then there is a mismatch that students are very smart. So you can cheat for 1 or 2 years, but in the long run they understand these trends, and then it's very dangerous.
And with talent, how does filter happen at SDA Bocconi? If you want to get, like, what do you look for in ideal students?
Yes, students, it's a mix for us. It's a profile evaluation that we do, which has become also a very trendy word after we have been using it since the beginning. So for sure, your grades, 10th graduation, the average and consistency is very important. But it's only part of that for us. For us, it's very important also the soft skills. Soft skills which we assess in 2 ways. One is the extracurricular activities that a student has done. A student that has done a lot of extracurricular activities, whether it is social, whether it is sport, arts, for sure is dedicated more time to that, first of all, so his grade might be a bit lower, but also has developed all that soft area that you don't develop if you focus only on academics.
Right.
And then a further check on the soft skills is done through the interview. We interview each single student, and the interview is targeted to assessing their soft skills or the potential to develop those soft skills in the 2 years that they are with us.
And since you have experienced both the worlds, as in you have some flavor of international MBA, some flavor of Indian MBA, what aspects of probably international MBA you like more and are trying to imbibe in the Indian MBA space, especially here at Bocconi?
I love the fact that you don't have to place the students.
That's one headache off your shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big responsibility that you have here in India, and that's a big part of the job. A lot of time is dedicated to that. Time that could be dedicated more to other things. But joking about it, I think it's very interesting how it is here in India. It's a mix, at least we managed to do a mix of academics and extracurricular. We're part of a very old school, so we can show that badge of 120 years old school that is number 3 in the world, and so on. But at the same time, we're quite young here. We're only 12 years old, and we're quite elastic. We can change our curricula quite relatively quickly, and we can add or take away extracurricular activities in a very easy way, which we do every year. Every year we reassess what we are doing and we change something. We update, we add analytics, we add AI or things like this, depending on what is needed.
How does SDA Bocconi place themselves while competing with, again, traditional institutes who have been in India for a very long time?
IIMs have a very strong legacy for sure, and that's part of what I was referring before, that for them the placement is relatively easy because they have that heritage, because they have that selection at the entry that gives you somehow certain kind of students that you know that they get in and then get out of the IIMs. As I've told you, we focus on our teaching, which is academics, where we have the top faculty in the world. Still 85% of our faculty comes from abroad, from our main campus, and they are our faculty. It's not that we take faculty from here and there. So they're all trained in the Bocconi way. They are all both very strong in research. We're number 1 in Europe for that. They're also all hands-on practitioners, which is very important. And then we have a lot of activities, extracurricular activities. So if you want, we have to be more awakened okay, and more try to do things, try to have the best curriculum, the best activities, which in the end helps the students. Some students, I always say there are three buckets. There are the students that want to go abroad, they go abroad, okay, we don't have overlapping. You have the students that want the IIMs, they will go to IIMs. They are ready to go to a lower IIMs just because it's an IIM, okay? And then there are the students that look at different things like the preparation, the extracurricular activities, the soft skills, and those students have no doubts. And that's why we get a good bucket of students even before the results from the CAT tests, okay? Because those are very clear that they want us.
Speaking of students choosing B schools, what are your thoughts on B schools probably publishing inflated placement reports? And as a student, what potentially should I look for or not look for or be careful and wary of before falling for or probably being faced by these numbers?
That's a big problem. We just take the bar straight and go our own way. Our placements are audited not by us, from Italy, because we deliver an Italian master. So our students and alumni are called from Italy to check or send the results to Italy directly. We don't do anything. Our results are very transparent, sometimes too transparent. But yes, there is something that we fight against, because in India, for example, the rankings are based only on that, on the average salary. At the time of placement, for sure, I understand is very important for the student in their ROI, which is something that is not spoken of abroad. But I always say, see your ROI after 1 year. So as said, we keep the bar straight. We keep on teaching them very well for their career and not to crack the interview and a high salary. I will say that, especially if you look at our top 50%, they are almost at par with the top IIMs.
So you spoke about updating curriculum very often to stay relevant in the market and to provide students with the most relevant and updated skills so that in the job market they can use those skills and be a better professional. Do you think enough emphasis is given on how to use technology in MBA curriculum?
Hey, technology is coming very hard, so you need to know how to handle technology, even if you are not an engineer, or even if you don't like and you've chosen a different stream. Technology will be part of everybody's career. So as I've told you, we update it very frequently as we can. If it takes some more time, we do it in the extracurricular activities, okay? So every year we add something. We have added the certification at the time where Make in India was the big thing. We added the Six Sigma for operations, certification by an external top consulting company, so with a big brand. The same we did for analytics. The same we've done for AI. So we do update, we do get them certifications that prepare them for the future life and give them also a stamp with an added value on other students for placement. But for sure, it's as I was saying, it's a very fast changing world, and you have to get prepared for that. So you have to be able to update curricula and to add activities, certifications that help you together with the right attitude to has curiosity, thinking out of the box, adaptation, working in multicultural teams. These are all soft skills, but you need also to know the basics in technology that you will need for your job.
Correct. Based on your industry insights, what are some of the non-famous MBA career options where students can aim for and which will be booming in the future or which will be lucrative for them in the long term?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that also keeps on changing. And when I started 13 years ago, everybody wanted to go to investment banking.
Right. Okay.
So you have to be. That's what I always tell my placement teams. Look at where the market is going. And so we had the period of operations, we had the period of analytics, we have now IT and consulting is the big thing, which will be more and more covered by AI. So I think you have to be very smart. I cannot give a reply for now that goes for is good forever. You have to look. For example, there are sectors like insurance. Insurance is a sector that is bound to grow at double digit at least for 5 years because the penetration in India is too low and it's a very lucrative sector. It's also, that you have to look at sectors and understand exactly what they are. Everybody thinks that insurance is boring and not sexy. On the contrary, I've worked also in that. I can tell you it's extremely interesting. The marketing campaigns in insurance can be extremely creative, much more than in other sectors. Just like HR, just like finance, all the different functions in insurance are very interesting. It's a market that pays good salaries and it is bound to grow in terms of the revenues of the market, in terms of the size of the structure, which means that your career can be very fast. So you have to look at those sectors that are bound to grow and not those that have been trendy and sexy for the last 3-4 years, because they're bound to, especially if they're close to technology, like IT and consulting, be careful, because those sectors, we've already seen that there has been a freeze in placement 2 years ago. Last year so-and-so, this year there is a bit of rebound, but you never know. So be open to other sectors and try to understand exactly what is the work, what is the daily job there, what are the career perspective, and what are the perspective of growth there.
Okay, Alessandro, I had one last question. So students here, they go to Milan semester as well. How was that experience like for them? And was this, I'm sure this was purposefully inculcated in the curriculum as well. So what's the reason of doing that?
The Milan semester has been put there for the global exposure, but it has much more meaning than that. So as I was telling you at the beginning, global exposure is extremely important nowadays. It's not just for going abroad, but because the teams are, by definition, global now, multicultural. A stint abroad is important. Though we work a lot on this global exposure unit here, and we run modules of many international programs, not only from Bocconi like the game, but or the Executive Master in Finance, the Executive Master in Luxury, in Arts Management. They all have modules here, but also from other schools, like the game from Copenhagen, from Denmark, a business school, from SIPS from China, SADE from Spain, from France, etc. Those 4 months that they go abroad are very important because it's really a full immersion for 4 months in some 15,000 students that are only talking about business. They are from 100 different countries. And so it's a very interesting environment. Beyond the global exposure is a personal experience that is very enriching, because you go abroad, so all your frameworks that you have in India, they're different. So they're broken. So it's you that you have to rebuild your framework, your friendships, your connections, your point of where to buy things to eat, or things like that. So it's an experience that helps you to understand that you are living in a given framework, but that's not the only thing that is there. Okay, that can break at any time, that you have some problems in your life. You go abroad, you understand that you can live and survive for what you are and not for the framework that you have. And in fact, we see the students coming back extremely stronger from those 4 months, that you see in the way they talk, but also they've been exposed in many things, the way they dress, the way they walk, behave, and everything.
How's the alumni connect here at Bocconi? Do you get to also interact with people who are not in India?
Yes, for sure. Bocconi has 1.2 lakhs alumni across the globe, and we are number 10 in the world for number of CEOs, global CEOs that are our alumni. So it's a very strong community in 120 different countries. And we have quite a few also here in India, especially those that have participated in our MBA in Milan, in our Executive Master in Luxury Milan, and our fast-growing community here in India. Every year, this year there will be 350 new alumni. So every year now we are putting more alumni in the market, and we've been putting alumni in the market for the last 13 years. So now they start being senior, and they start to be more. So it's good because finally we are doing alumni meetings that are much more fun because we have more alumni in all the cities across India. So it's a thriving community that has grown, is growing very fast, as I told you, not only in the average salary that they get, but also in the ladder. And many of them go abroad because of that global exposure that they've had.
Alessandro, on a closing note, do you want to add anything to the conversation? Probably a message for students wanting to pursue MBA in 2025 or anything else that you have thought of.
Well, choose your school for what they deliver, and not only the placement. We're not placement agencies, and jobs sectors are disrupted. New ones come up. You have to be prepared as a person in terms of knowledge that you're being given, but also in terms of attitude. You have to be prepared to navigate a world that is changing continuously and in a very violent way sometimes.
Alessandro, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking out time and doing this conversation with us. It was lovely talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Seb.
Guys, if you like this episode, please do let us know in the comments below. Do let us know your favorite part. Also, comment down if you have any further questions which you want to be answered by Alessandro. There's a link in the description that will talk more about SDA Bocconi and the courses that they offer. So please do check that out. Meanwhile, this is Seth from Team Inside IIM signing off.